something I've been doing for over 4 years now. I'm actually on my 5th year with the company. But I wanted to start off with the cash flow quadrant, and this is actually the book I read that got me out of teaching and started to do my ventures in entrepreneurship as well as real estate investing. Now, most of us have seen this before. It's by Robert Kiyosaki. We've got our job in the employee quadrant. Now, what we do is with our part-time efforts, if you've got your job, I do tell you to keep it, but we focus on 2 different massive streams of income in the self-employed quadrant as well as the business quadrant. So we're going to focus on both of those, and then what we do is we take our money and we move it into the investing side, or the investing quadrant, and that's our passive income. So what we do is in a part-time effort, take 2 massive and move it into our passive. So again, we've got 2 massive streams of income that we're going to be talking about, as well as a passive. Now, this is all in due time. This is not all immediate, and we're going to take it in chunks. So I want you guys to be aware we're going to go at your own pace. Everyone's going to come in at a very different point in their life. I've got 20-year-olds talking to me as well as 45, 50-year-olds talking to me. So there's very different realms of how we get started. So let's just focus on the real estate side. What are we doing in this today's current market? Some turmoil going on, but obviously with turmoil, there's a lot of potential. So this is the 4 different ways we're finding our deals right now. We're looking for deep discounts. I don't think I have to tell anyone the F word right now, which is obviously there's a ton of foreclosures going on, and there's a process to every foreclosure. So once the foreclosures start, we can find them there. We can obviously do a short sale, which means we're dealing directly with the banks. They're taking a lesser amount for the full amount of the loan, which is what they're shorting. If we don't get it into that period, then it moves into an auction, and now we can buy it directly at the auction. If we don't get it before that date, once it's gone through the auction, it is actually foreclosed on, and then it becomes an REO, or a bank-owned property. So any of these, during this process, we can actually make money during this entire time. If we're dealing with the foreclosure, we can now deal with the homeowner. Same thing with the short sale. We can actually deal with the homeowner. We're dealing with the banks, and we can actually get the homeowner out of foreclosure where it's not going to hit their record. Once it goes to auction, once it hits the REO, we're actually removing the homeowner from the situation, and we're dealing directly with the banks, and more than likely we're dealing directly with a realtor at that point in time, which is going to be very similar to a normal process that everyone's probably familiar with. So this is the 4 different ways we're really finding deals at this point in time, and they're abundant. They are everywhere. So finding a deal, just pick up a rock, throw it, you probably are going to hit a deal. It's about that. What we're going to go through is the ways of protecting ourselves at the same point. How do we make money on each one of these deals? So there's 3 different ways I want you guys to write down to make money, and this is also going to protect us. Having 3 different exit strategies is going to really make sure that the risk is going down, and that's really key, especially in this market. So number 1, everyone knows that we can go in and fix and flip a house. I think there's plenty of TV shows on cable that will walk you through that. The next thing that we could do is just wholesale the piece of paper. So we're going to wholesale it, make sure we'll kind of explain it a little bit more, but we're taking that contract and moving it to another investor that wants to probably do the fix and flip. And the third option, this is kind of our worst case scenario, is we can always lease option. We can always pick it up, we can buy it, rent it out for a profit, so we're getting cash flow every single month. We're going to do it that way. So let's go back up and explain each one a little bit further. Everyone knows that a fix and flip, we're not talking about a major rehab. We're going to come in, we're going to do real simple stuff, lipstick on a pig as our rehabbing instructor always calls it, and we're going to do simple stuff, paint, carpet, doing the floors, maybe doing the kitchen and the baths, nothing major. Now a wholesale, let's say if we can't do the fix and flip or it's too much work for us, that doesn't mean that somebody else won't do the deal. So a wholesale deal is a cool concept where if you say, you know what, I don't have the money, no problem, I can move that contract because now I control it, and I can move that to another investor who does want to do the deal, who has the cash, and we can still make a profit at that point in time. The next part is a lease option. Now a lease option, this is another kind of worst case scenario. Let's say if we fixed it up and we can't move it at that point in time, great, we can still put in a family in there. This is always the fun part where people are always looking to move into a house. They don't like the apartment, especially once they start getting out of that family, move them into the house, and we're checking their credit, and the idea would be in a year or 2 years, they're actually going to purchase the house. It's not a rental situation because they're actually going to pay a lease option fee, so they're going to purchase that process with some sort of payment right away, and keep in mind, they're not renting it. They're looking to move in and buy it at some point, so they're going to treat your house a lot better. Now, every single one of these, we are making money. So the way we're looking at 3 ways of making money is each one of these, we better make a profit. It's pretty stupid if we're going to be losing money each one. Obviously, if we're losing money, we're not going to do a deal. So I always talk about making sure you make money on all 3. So if the answer is yes to every single one of these, so if your worst case scenarios, you're still moving out with a profit, great. Now, obviously, you've knocked down your risk. That's really the key concept. Knock down your risk. Make sure you have multiple different exit strategies. And again, if you can make money on a deal, do it. Okay? It's kind of foolish if you're going out and looking at properties all day long. You should be able to make money on that deal because we've got 3 different ways of making money on it. All right. Let's go back to the 2 different ways of making money. We've got massive income and passive. Now, depending on your interest level, some of you guys might say, holy cow, that might be a little bit over my head right away. Great. We've got 2 different forms of massive income that we are running out of the office here. So if you guys are interested in something that's a little less risky than real estate, great, we have it, and it's still massive. We're talking about $1,000 plus paychecks, all the way up to $10,000 paychecks just on the massive side. So if you're interested in a massive paycheck but not interested in real estate, we can still work together. The other side of it is if you want to do all of the above. You want a massive paycheck that might move into a passive at some point in time, we have that as well. And we focus on 2 massive because if you've ever done a deal and you're waiting to pay your bills and you're waiting for that deal to close, it's pretty much the last time you're going to want to do that because your wife will tell you every day that this is unacceptable. How do you think I know that one? So having multiple streams of income, having short, quick money to pay the bills while our deals close is obviously the best way of doing it. And then also, once we have that cash, we want to sit there and make sure our cash is working for us. So instead of a retirement fund, we actually move into long-term real estate where we can actually still have the same concept as a 401k, so it's still moving up and down just like the equity in a house would be just like your 401k. But the difference is we're getting paid every single month. We're getting cash flow every single month from that, and we can actually live on that as well. So the massive side. This is our no-risk situations. I want you guys to really write that down. We are not doing risk on the massive side. So no matter what it is, if you're concerned about that, great. When you call me, say, Jason, I'm interested in the massive side or very little risk. Now, the passive side, once you start owning properties, yes, there is risk. So you have to be aware of that. Now, this webinar is quick. The entire concept is, can we get you a little bit of information on what we're doing and basically direct you to the next step. The next step is simply this. We're going to go through a webinar. It's going to be about an hour and a half. You can do it Tuesday this week, Wednesday this week, or Saturday this week. And this is going to take about an hour and a half to go through all of the details. I know most people are saying, I want some information. Yes, I'm interested. Now I want all the specific details. So kind of the process is this. Let me know. Just shoot either an email back, respond to this ad, and say, yes, I'm interested in going to Wednesday. And you're going to jot down every note, every question, every concern you can possibly think of. Again, I've been doing this for almost 5 years now. Jot them down. Great. Go through it. They're going to give you a lot more information. They're probably going to answer a lot of the questions that were brought up during this webinar. And then what we're going to do is we're going to schedule another time right after that. So let's say if we pick Wednesday, what we'll do is either on Thursday or Friday on a one-on-one webinar, or if you're here locally, we can meet one-on-one in person. We'll go through, we'll answer every single one of your questions, and we'll make sure if you're saying, you know what, I want to move forward, great, we can do that. If you're saying, no, it's not for you, great, we'll part as friends. And if you're saying, Jason, I am interested in still working with you or still making some money, there's some other options available for you as well. So it's a pretty open. I want to make sure that I'm working with the people that are excited to work for us, that are obviously ambitious. They've got great people skills. So if you think you're slightly interested or you've got a ton of questions, I am aware that you've got a ton of questions right now. Basically what the next phase is go through the webinar. We can answer your questions for you. We can take the next step. So with that said, just follow up with this email and say I can attend this webinar, and I'll make sure that we schedule it for that.